I just, if there was any, I hope Kevin Patullo didn't even make it to the locker room. Like, Kevin Patullo shouldn't have even made it to the locker room, still being employed by the Philadelphia Eagles after what we saw against the 49ers. I mean, this whole season by Kevin Patullo has been a travesty, but from what we saw against the 49ers, Kevin Patullo has to go. Kevin Patullo has to go. If we still have Kevin Patullo this offseason going into next season, Howie Roseman isn't taking this team seriously. If they still have Kevin Patullo employed, honestly, if they still have Kevin Patullo employed by the end of the week, we can no longer take Eagles football seriously. Because there is nothing more that we can get out of this team other than what we saw this season with Kevin Patullo still in position. Kevin Patullo has to go. Kevin Patullo is the worst offensive coordinator, is the worst offensive mind that the Eagles have ever had under that roof in that organization. The worst offensive mind. The most expensive, you're telling me, with the most expensive offense in the history of the NFL. Over $200 million. You only score 2 touchdowns against the worst defense, the most injured defense in the NFL. All that money we spend on the offense, 2 touchdowns in the wild card round, a wild card exit. That points back to the play calling. The play calling was so bad. The unit that's supposed to be the best offense in the NFL looked like the worst. Looked like an average to below average unit. Kevin Patullo is the worst offensive coordinator that the Eagles have ever had. And honestly, there's no way he should still be employed by the end of the week. By the end of the week. There is no way. There is no way that by January 16th, if Kevin Patullo is still employed by January 16th, we can't take this organization seriously. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. And honestly, it's exactly like how I said earlier on in the season. Play calling is our worst enemy. The biggest threat to the success of this team, a team that really has the best roster in the entire NFL, play calling was the biggest threat. And that showed up in the end. It wasn't the defense. It wasn't the offense. It wasn't the injuries. It certainly wasn't Jalen Hurts. It wasn't even Nick Sirianni. It was Kevin Patullo and the play calling. The play calling has been the biggest weakness, the biggest threat to this team since the beginning of the season. And Kevin Patullo is fully to blame for that. Fully to blame. It's exactly how I said earlier on in the season. Play calling is the biggest threat to the squad. Biggest threat to the squad. I cannot wait for Kevin Patullo to get fired. I can't wait. And I'm not one to usually promote someone losing their job. But I'm making an exception this time. I cannot wait until Kevin Patullo gets fired. Kevin Patullo getting fired this offseason, I will celebrate as if the Eagles won the Super Bowl. How hype I was when we won the bowl, when we got one up on Mahomes and the Chiefs, destroyed the Chiefs dynasty. I'll probably celebrate harder than I did when we won the Super Bowl at Kevin Patullo getting fired. I'm getting jiggy when Kevin Patullo gets fired. I'm getting jiggy because I know once Kevin Patullo gets fired, there's nothing else holding us back. Once Kevin Patullo gets fired, there is nothing this offense won't be capable of. With the right offensive coordinator in position, this offense could be one of the best offenses that the NFL has ever seen. One of the best offenses the NFL has ever seen. an offense with a Super Bowl MVP, an offensive player of the year, 2 1,000-yard receivers, an O-line that is, when healthy, usually the best offensive line in football, with the right offensive coordinator, with the right offensive mind in position in leadership. This offense could be one of the greatest offenses that the NFL has ever seen. When Kevin Patullo loses his job, I will celebrate as if we just won the Super Bowl, as if we just went back to back. Because honestly, at this point, Kevin Patullo getting fired is our Super Bowl. Kevin Patullo finally being relieved of his duties as offensive coordinator is our Super Bowl. That's the biggest win we could get at this point in the season. The biggest one we could get. We're not fighting for a Super Bowl anymore. We're not fighting for an NFC Championship appearance anymore. Right now, we're just fighting for the future. And the betterment of our future does not start until Kevin Patullo loses his job. When Kevin Patullo loses his job, I am getting jiggy and I am celebrating. I'm turning up as if we just went back to back. Because I know once Kevin Patullo is out of there, we got another ring on the way. But this loss was not just on Kevin Patullo. AJ Brown, you're not escaping that smoke either. You are not escaping that smoke. What was AJ Brown doing in this game? What was he doing? After all that talk, after as vocal as he's been, not just throughout the entire season, but in this game, getting into a fight with Nick Sirianni on the sideline, because he was dropping passes. After all that talk, in the biggest moments, in the biggest game of our season so far, he folds. I never thought I would be saying this about AJ Brown. What the heck was AJ Brown doing? This loss is on AJ Brown just as much as it is on Kevin Patullo, if not more so. 3 crucial dropped passes, just like against the Chargers. 3 crucial dropped passes. He catches one of those. It's an entirely different game. Jalen Hurts was putting the ball exactly where it needed to be. The ball placement, the windows he was throwing to. Jalen Hurts was doing everything he could from behind the pocket. AJ Brown did not execute. AJ Brown left Jalen Hurts hanging. AJ Brown, I just don't bro, AJ Brown has no excuses after this game. No excuses. He's been the most vocal person in this locker room, the most vocal person on this team all season long, calling out the offense, challenging the offense, saying they needed to do better as a unit, which was all true. But then when the biggest game, when it comes time for him to answer the call, when it comes time for him to make the play, biggest moments in the biggest game of the season so far, AJ Brown drops the ball. The guy who is supposed to be the best receiver in the NFL, the most talented receiver in the NFL, drops the ball. Literally and figuratively drops the ball. AJ Brown let the Birds down against the 49ers this weekend. AJ Brown let the Birds down. I'm honestly more disappointed in AJ Brown than I am in Kevin Patullo after this matchup in the 49ers, because we know what Kevin Patullo is going to do. We know Kevin Patullo sucks at calling plays. We can expect that. At this point, I was expecting the talent to overcome the coaching as they have had to do throughout the season. I was expecting that. What I was not expecting was arguably our best offensive player that's not a quarterback to fold when his number was called. What I was not expecting was the best receiver in the NFL to drop balls that were going right through his fingertips, sometimes right through his palms. What I was not expecting was the receiver who has the highest success success percentage, success rate against single coverage, what I was not expecting was that guy to drop easy catches. That's what I was not expecting. So I'm honestly more disappointed in AJ Brown than I am in Kevin Patullo after this game against the 49ers, because where did this came out of nowhere. We expect a lot. We expect a terrible outing, a terrible performance and game plan from Kevin Patullo. We do not expect this type of play from an all-pro, Pro Bowl caliber receiver, from an elite receiver like AJ Brown. AJ Brown does not escape the smoke. He does not escape the blame. But then what really gets me is AJ Brown will forego interviews after the game. Like, foregoing interviews after this game, after the way you performed, is insane to me. That's insane to me. Like, there is no, like, you dropped three crucial passes in our first playoff game of the year. You dropped 3 crucial passes, after one of which you get into a shouting match with the head coach on the sideline because he was telling you to jog and hurry up and get off the field. After all that, after as vocal as you were during the regular season, now you don't want to talk. That's what kills me. After the way you played in this game against the 49ers, after the way you carried yourself on the sideline against the head coach, after as vocal as you were during the regular season, now you don't want to talk. Now you don't have time, you don't have the patience to do a post-game interview. That's not taking accountability. Something that AJ Brown usually does. That is not taking accountability. So AJ Brown is as much to blame. Like that honestly just pissed me off. But AJ Brown is as much to blame for this loss against the 49ers as Kevin Patullo. Now, I'm not calling for AJ Brown's job. By no means. I'm not saying the Eagles need to do something with AJ Brown in the offseason. I'm not saying AJ Brown needs to go kick rocks like I'm saying Kevin Patullo needs to do. But there is definitely some acknowledgement, some level of accountability that needs to be taken, some level of action that needs to be taken in addressing the way AJ Brown let his teammates down. A guy who is supposed to be a captain on this team, a captain on this offense, a leader on this offense. There is some sort of acknowledgement that needs to be had, some sort of conversation that needs to be had after the way AJ Brown played in the biggest game of the season for the Eagles so far. What ended up being the biggest game of the season. I'm honestly, it really burns me up. It really burns me up, honestly, because, and what makes me even more mad is that Jalen Hurts is going to get the blame for this. That's what makes me upset, is the fact that Jalen Hurts is going to get the blame for this game when his receiver one forgot how to catch the ball and his offensive coordinator couldn't figure out how to put the most clutch quarterback in the NFL, in the best offense in the NFL, in a position to succeed, in a position to exploit the worst defense in the NFL. That's what really ticks me off, is the fact that Jalen Hurts, a guy who has proven time and time again to be a winner, is going to get the blame for a loss that was not his fault. Not his fault. It's just really annoying. It's really annoying, because I don't understand what more Jalen Hurts could have done other than what he did. On that last drive, a 4th down conversion with game on the line, converts a 4th down. after a drop pass from A.J. Brown. With game, like there was nothing more Jalen Hurts could have done in this game when you take into account the situation. Like, Jalen Hurts is not to blame for this loss by any means. By any means. It's not Jalen Hurts' fault that his receiver one, his elite receiver in A.J. Brown, forgot how to catch the football and did not perform well under pressure. It's not Jalen Hurts' fault that his offensive coordinator does not know how to call plays. It's not Jalen Hurts' fault that his offensive line has not been what it has been. Like, it is not Jalen Hurts' fault. Like, it's not Jalen Hurts' fault that the Eagles ended up falling to the 49ers. It's just, I am not going to sit here and listen to the Jalen Hurts slander after clear debauchery, clear horrid performances from his receiver one and his offensive coordinator. There's no way. It is not, bro. It is not Jalen Hurts' fault that his receiver one forgot how to catch the football in primetime moments of the game. That his receiver one, elite receiver, folded in the biggest moments of the game. Did not perform well under pressure. It is not Jalen Hurts' fault that his offensive coordinator forgot how to call plays. On 4th and 11 with game on the line against cover 4, running straight verts, straight down, sending guys straight down the field. It is not Jalen Hurts' fault that the tools around him that are meant to help him succeed failed. It is not Jalen Hurts' fault. It makes me, to end the season on this note the way we did. Honestly, it hurts because exactly what I said happened. I said if the Eagles were to somehow lose this game, which I still can't even believe happened, but just like I said if the Eagles were to somehow lose this game, it would be because Kevin Patullo was outcoached by Robert Saleh. One, it's not hard to outcoach Kevin Patullo if you're a defensive coordinator in the NFL. It's not hard. But Robert Saleh, being the more than capable defensive coordinator that he is, that is a clear problem when looking at these two coordinators from the Eagles side. Just like I said, if the Eagles lost this game, it would be because Kevin Patullo was outcoached, and that's exactly what we saw. Kevin Patullo allowed himself to be outcoached by Robert Saleh, which doesn't sound crazy when you just look at those two names because of Robert Saleh's resume and obviously what Kevin Patullo has done this year. But when you look at their respective units, when you look at their respective units, Kevin Patullo has the most talented offense in the NFL, while Robert Saleh has arguably the most injured defense in the NFL, without their two best players in Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, ranking 20th in yards allowed per game. Nothing special against the pass. Definitely nothing special against the run. When you look at the respective units that both of these coaches had to work with, the fact that Kevin Patullo allowed himself to be outcoached in this situation, in this matchup, is a big problem. A big problem. It's a big problem. Robert Saleh outcoaching Kevin Patullo does not surprise me. But when you take into account that Kevin Patullo has a Super Bowl winning offense with a Super Bowl MVP, with an Offensive Player of the Year player, with two receivers who went for 1,000 yards this year, in spite of your game plan, with a top 5 tight end in the NFL, behind the best offensive line in the league, you allowed yourself to fail and be outcoached using this unit going up against the most injury-riddled defense in the NFL. That's the problem. And that's exactly what I said would happen. That's exactly what I said the reasoning would be if the Eagles lost the game, and we saw that come to fruition. We saw that come to fruition. Kevin Patullo is so bad of a coordinator that with the best offense in the NFL, the most talented offense in the NFL, he fell short to an injury-riddled defense without their two best all-pro players. He allowed an offense with Super Bowl DNA that has been there and won that to lose to a team that hasn't won a Super Bowl since Joe Montana. Since Joe Montana. Since the 90s. This is literally what I was scared of. This is literally what I was scared of happening in this game. Literally what I was scared of. But the thing is, if A.J. Brown makes those catches, the talent could have overcame the coaching. A.J. Brown put this offense in a position where the talent was unable to overcome the coaching. And the offense definitely had a chance to do that. Jalen Hurts put Dallas Goedert in positions to succeed and overcome the coaching. Jalen Hurts put Devontae Smith in positions to succeed and overcome the coaching. The run game was working for the most part. Saquon Barkley was able to break multiple big runs. Tank Bigsby was in the mix, got a few big runs under his belt in this game. A.J. Brown did nothing to put this offense in a position to overcome the coaching. If A.J. Brown catches one of those balls, the talent on this offense overcomes the coaching, which is what clearly needed to happen in order for the Eagles to win this game. It's just, it really upsets me. But one thing I can look at after watching this game and have a smile on my face and be proud of is the way my cornerback one played. Like, that's the one thing I can look at after watching this game is the way my CB1 played and the way he was locking down half of the field. Quinton Mitchell is an all-pro for a reason. Quinton Mitchell is a true all-pro cornerback. We're talking about a cornerback that only gets interceptions in the postseason, that gets better as the season progresses. Quinton Mitchell showed why he is a top 2 corner in the NFL. Quinton Mitchell played his butt off against the 49ers. He was getting cooked at first by Demarcus Robinson. I'll admit, to start the game, it was looking a little scary. It was like night and day. It was like, whoa, who's this guy? What's going on? But he made up for that as the game progressed. He was locking down George Kittle. He stepped up against Demarcus Robinson. Quinton Mitchell was playing lockdown football. Quinton Mitchell was the brightest spot of this entire Eagles team against the 49ers. 2 interceptions. Bro. Quinton Mitchell. 2 interceptions. 3 passes batted down. Quinton Mitchell was the bright spot for this entire team. I was in watching this game. I was able to look at my CB1 playing football and was able to smile. My CB1 looked like an all-pro, proved his all-pro status in this game against the 49ers. Quinton Mitchell, like, it should no longer be up for debate. Quinton Mitchell is an elite cornerback in the NFL. An elite cornerback in the NFL. My cornerback is an all-pro corner in the NFL. My cornerback is a top 2 corner in the NFL, and he showed that against the 49ers. 2 interceptions, 3 passes defended, 3 passes batted down. My cornerback looked like the best cornerback in the league against the 49ers. He was getting cooked at first against Demarcus Robinson, but he bounced back. He bounced back and was the MVP for the defense against the 49ers in what could have been a win. What could have been a win and a wild card round win for the Eagles. Quinton Mitchell did everything he could in this game. Quinton Mitchell looked like a top 2 corner in the NFL. And honestly, Cooper DeJean had a game as well. Cooper DeJean played some ball as well. 2 passes defended. looking at Quinion, like, bro, watching this another positive I can take away from this 49ers game is the fact that the Eagles have the best DB duo in the NFL. The Eagles have the best DB duo in the NFL. First DB duo to earn All-Pro in the same season, both earning All-Pro in just their second years, in their sophomore years. I was able to watch this game against the 49ers and say with complete confidence that the Eagles have the best DB duo in the NFL in Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. 100%. They were the bright spots for this defense against the 49ers. They were the bright spots for the Eagles as a team against the 49ers. I was able to look at this game. I was able to watch this game against the 49ers and with complete confidence, complete truth, identify Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean as being the best DB duo in the NFL and proving why that is. Proving why they are both all pros. Proving why they're both all pros. That's one thing I was able to see in this game and take away as a positive. That's one thing I was able to be proud of in this game is the way that my two corners, my two sophomore DBs performed when the lights were the brightest, trying to get back to another Super Bowl. That's one thing I'm able to be proud of. Quinion Mitchell is a top 2 corner in the NFL, and Cooper DeJean is the best dual DB in the NFL. When I say dual DB, he's a guy that can do, honestly, he's a trifecta DB because there are so many different things Cooper DeJean can do. He can play outside corner, he can play slot corner, he can play nickel, and he can play a true safety. So that's really 4. It's really 4. He is an all-purpose DB. And Quinion Mitchell looks like the best coverage corner in the NFL right now. The best outside coverage corner in the NFL. I was able to watch this 49ers game and was able to look at these two guys and say wholeheartedly that they are the best DB duo in the NFL. 100%. That's all we got for today's edition of No Shame with Shane. If you haven't already, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to all of our social media platforms, and I'll be back later on with more shameless takes.